Hey everyone, Decav13 here, and welcome back to some more Let's Play Fate Stay Night. We're gonna be heading to day 8 today. Um, had some odd happenings yesterday. We saw off screen that Shinji got Ryder back. We had heard that Castor was back. Alongside Archer and Rin, we confronted Zoka and Mato in the park, after Kotomine warned us about him. Seemed like Archer cut him in half, but he still lived. And then we were attacked by a strange shadow. Swallowed up Shiro, but he survived. And then we saw a conversation between, Zoken and an assassin, where they formally made a pact. And he acknowledged Zoken as his master. So yeah, that's not great. I don't think we have to worry about Castor anymore, thank goodness. But, yeah, so really, we're only down 2 servants then. Lancer and, Castor. Well, let's head on into day 8 and see exactly what happens here on. Okay. It's morning. It's after 7 o'clock. The weather is nice outside and bright white sunlight pours in. I get up and stretch my back. Physically, I feel well. I can move my limbs easily and there's no trace of any headache. I feel great waking up today, as if the horror of last night never happened. I sigh and think back on what happened. Even if I was reliving what happened 10 days ago, I really need to train more if I can't remember anything that happened. My memories since collapsing in the park are vague. All I remember is leaning on Saber's shoulder and being put to bed. I get out of bed and quickly change into my school uniform. Saber seems like she's still asleep, so I'll go have breakfast. It's already 7, so I should go see if Sakura is in the living room.
Senpai.
In the living room, I find Sakura holding her school bag. Breakfast is ready. The table is neatly arranged and ready for us to start dining right away.
時間があったので、先輩とセイバーさんの分を作っておきました。
俺とセイバーの分って、さくらのは？
私はいいです。先に学校に行ってますから、お二人で朝食をとってください。
どうしたんだよ、さくら。俺たちの朝飯作っておいて、自分だけ食べないなんて変だぞ。もしかして、昨日何かあったのか
？Sounds like I was on the mark. But I can't think of anything from yesterday's events that would apply. After dinner last night, Sakura went back to her room, and that was the last time I saw her. After that, I think something happened. The thought gives me so much nausea that I can't remember.
そういえば、ここでさくらとセイバーがなんか話してた気がする。よく聞こえなかったんだけど。
私、ひどいことを言っちゃったんです。先輩が倒れかけているのを見て、ついカッとなっちゃって。
ひどいことってセイバーに？
はい。けど私にだってそんなこと言える資格なんてなかった。それなのにセイバーさんだけ悪者にしてしまったんです。だから今はセイバーさんに合わせる顔がなくて、それで。
So that's why she made breakfast for 2 and is trying to leave before she runs into Saber.
すみません、先輩。あの後、すぐ自分のバカさ加減に気づいて、セイバーさんに謝ったんです。そしたらセイバーさん、私に謝ってくるんです。私 私が悪いのに自分の不注意だったって。
Sakura hangs her head, looking ashamed. I see. If you apologize to someone and they end up apologizing back to you, that would make you feel even worse.
まったくバカだな二人とも。一番悪いのは怪我をした俺だろ。さくらもせい。
でも先輩、私セイバーさんに。
いいんだって言っとくけどな、あいつは相手に非があったら絶対に折れないぞ。さくらの言い分が無茶苦茶だったら怒鳴り返してくれ。そのあいつが謝るってことはさくらの言い分を認めてるってことだ。セイバーは口にしないだろうけどさくらのこときっと好きだぞ。基本的に一生懸命やってるやつを大切にするんだよあいつは。
けどならなおのこと今朝は遠慮します。セイバーさんが怒ってくれなかった分ちゃんと自分で叱らないと調子に乗っちゃいますから。
Sakura laughs bashfully and gives me a modest bow. Looks like her mind is set on leaving for school early.
さくらがそう言うんなら無理には止めないけど、こんな早く学校に行ってどうするんだ。朝練禁止されてるだろ。
大丈夫、道場のお掃除をするだけですから。セイバーさんにあんなこと言っちゃったんですから、罰として弓道場の床を雑巾がけするんです。
Sakura bids me farewell and leaves the living room.
道場の掃除って冬場の雑巾がけはきついぞさくら。
She knows that as well as I do, though, which is probably why she said it. I wonder what she said to pick a fight with Saber if she thinks she has to do an unenviable task to make up for it.
私とさくらが喧嘩ですか
ね。あ、いやしたんじゃないのか。さくらセイバーに悪かったって言ってたけど。
言われてみれば確かにそのように見えたかもしれませんが、しかしあれはさくらが正しいのであって口論というよりは私の不徳を注意してもらったという方が。
Wow. Saber's grumbling at herself. Not that it does a thing to stop her chopsticks from delivering bite after bite of food to her mouth.
いや変なこと言って悪かった。さくらがすごく気にしてたからこっちも気になっただけなんだ。なんでもないんなら忘れてくれ。
はあ、さくらといいシロといい昨夜から同じことを言うのですね。実は二人揃って私をからかっているのではありませんか。
そんな手の込んだ冗談するか。そんなことして俺とさくらに何の得があるってんだよ。
Actually, I'm terrified of pranking Saber and being found out.
それはそうですね。では単に二人とも互いを気遣っての行為だったわけですか。
Saber muses as she ingests an omelet. It's good to be a glutton in the morning. Mm-hmm.
けどなんて言ったんだよさくらは。生半可なことじゃそこまで落ち込まないし。そのあたり聞いてもいいかなセイバー。
それは単に私のサーバントとしての力不足についてです。要約すれば白を守りきれなかったのは私の未熟さだったと。
セイバーは十分すぎるぐらいやってくれてる。昨べだって俺が勝手に倒れただけだろ。セイバーが気に病むことじゃない。
それはそうなのですが、とにかくさくらの忠告は正しかった。問題はそれにうなずくことのできない私自身です。さくらに何と言われようと私はあなたというマスターをこれからも戦いに赴かせるのですから。
Saber looks away uncomfortably. I mean, it's strange. Why is Saber getting so worked up over something that we already mutually agreed on?
がなく、不審に感じた住民が周囲の住宅の調査を要請したところ。
What the hell? The news is on TV. I turn on the TV while eating and it's showing a story about last night's events.
発見された体調不良者は30名に及び、直ちに病院に運ばれました。 今月に入ってから7件目の昏睡事件ですが、診察の結果はやはり何らかの食中毒に近いと。
Another mass coma incident, huh? I finish breakfast and get ready for school. I'm going to school to see Tosaka. I need to discuss what happened last night with her, about Zoken Mato and that black shadow.
警察では宮山南4丁目一帯に被害が拡大したことから、何らかの薬物が散布された可能性が高いと。
Miyama South Forchon. Tosaka was glaring in that direction last night. Archer said that shadow was causing the comas. 30 unconscious people. I've experienced for myself what that was like. Like Castor, the shadow lurks in the dark and sucks magical energy from the people around town. No, it's more than just sucking. Castor had a gentle touch compared to that thing. She cleverly made sure to harvest the energy from people in a repeatable, painless way. Like drawing blood through a syringe, to use a metaphor. This is nothing like that. Castor may have only drawn blood, but the thing I saw last night feasts on its victims. The shadow has no mind or mercy. It only cares about devouring its victims' magical energy, mind and all.
セイバー、学校に行く前に話がある。
はい。何でしょうか、シロ。
Saber heard what they said on the news too. She probably knows what I'm about to say, but she quietly waits for me to continue as always.
あ、今後の方針のことだ。セイバーも昨夜のあれを見ただろう。
はい。どのような幻想種にも該当しない、見たことのないものでした。
あれが何であるかはわからない。ただあいつはあいつで俺たちの敵だ。マスターにもサーバントにも見えなかったけど、意図的に俺や遠坂を狙ってきたし、町の住人からも魔力を集めている。なら
当面はあの影の探索を優先するということですか？マスターともサーバントとも取れぬ、私たちには関わりのないものの相手をすると。
That thing's more of a threat than any of the other servants and masters. Saber gives me a hard stare. Her goal is to obtain the Holy Grail, and I'm asking her to help me with an irrelevant objective. Of course she'd be against it. But still.
あの影を放っておけない。これは聖杯戦争より優先すべきことだと思う。
Saber watches me silently for a moment. Deafening silence makes me hold my breath.
まったくそう来ると思っていました。私としてはあの影には関わりたくないのですが。
セイバー、本当にいいのか？
いいも悪いも私が断ったところでシローは一人で行動するではないですか。そうなった時あなたを守りきれねば本末転倒です。あなたに死なれては私はこの世にとどまれません。ですからたとえ反対であったとしてもシローの方針に従うしかないのです。
それはそうだけど。
それにあなたを一人にしては昨夜のような無茶をいつしでかすか。あれで2度目ですからね。3度目だって必ずあります。そんなことになったら私はまたさくらに謝らねばならなくなる。
じゃあ
誠に不本意ですがサーバントは主の命に従うもの。マスターであるシローがそう判断したのなら剣は預けます。
セイバー、
ですがシロー、あの影は尋常な相手ではない。あれに比べればバーサーカーとて御しやすい相手でしょう。
Yeah, that shadow's on a whole other level.
それは肌で感じた。あいつは強いとか弱いとかいう次元の話じゃなくて、ただ不吉だった。殴れば倒せるって相手でもないと思う。
それが分かっているのなら私からは何もありません。ただシロ、あれの相手をするということは最も困難な道を行くということ。それを今から胸に刻んでおいてください。
いや、そりゃ用心はするけど、なんだよ変なこと言って。 セイバーもアーチャーみたいにあの影を知ってるのか？
いいえ、私もシロと同じです。あの影が何者なのかはわからない。
Saber averts her gaze. Then, as if uttering an ominous premonition she just had,
ただ漠然と感じたのです。あれは良くない星そのものだと。それこそ関わったもの全てに破滅をもたらす逃れようのない茨のような。
she leaves me with that.
それじゃあホームルーム始めるわよ。日直よろしくって相川くんは休みで相物さんも休み。じゃあ張り切って先生がやっちゃおっかな。みんな起立。
Homeroom begins. More students are absent than yesterday, and the classroom feels less lively. Not just our classroom, actually. The entire school feels muted. Fujine moves homeroom along in a breezy tone, but even she doesn't look as upbeat as usual.
じゃそういうわけで放課後の部活動は禁止ね。連絡事項は以上。ちなみに1次元目の久月先生はお休みだから
Oh
自
yeah,
習。
Kusugi is dead.
プリントは持ってきてあげたからみんなはこのまま教室で缶詰ってなさい。
The room collectively celebrates and begins to move desks around with a clatter. Fujine is just going to let us do our worksheets at our own pace, meaning we can do whatever we want as long as we stay in the room. But
シロちゃちゃ。
why is she waving me over in the hallway in such an obviously suspicious manner?
なんだよ藤根、授業中だぞ今。
そうなんだけどね。ほら朝そっちに顔出せなかったでしょ。それで不安になっちゃってシロは元気かなーって。
なんだよいきなり。不安って何が不安なんだ？
それがよくわからない。虫の知らせっていうの？昔っからさ、こうチクチク来る時があったんだけど、その後って決まってシロが車にひかれたり橋から落ちたりしたの。だからシロ元気かなって。
そんなの全然普通じゃんか。それで危ないってんなら今までずっと危なかったよ俺は。
そうなんだけどね。なんか気になるんだ。こう一緒に乗らなくちゃいけない電車があるのにシロだけホームに残っちゃってバイバーイって手を振ってるみたいな、そんな感じ？
具体的な例えだけど、そこで目が覚めたってこ
あ、わかっちゃった？お姉ちゃんおかげで寝坊しちゃったんだよ。
I'm kind of amazed. So she didn't come over because she overslept. No other reason. Okay, that's very Fujine, so I'll allow it.
と？心配無用。こっちはいつも通りだよ。藤根こそ目にクマできてるぞ。寝不足なの夢の中だけじゃないんじゃないか？
まあね。昨日も忙しくて今日も忙しくなりそうよ。しばらく残業続きになりそうだからシロのところには行けなくなると思う。悔しいけど私のご飯は作らなくていいや。話はそれだけ。プリントちゃんとやっときなさい。シロ、現代社会の成績悪いんだから気合い入れないと赤点取っちゃうわよ。
Fujine gives me a casual wave goodbye and leaves.
飯はいいって、まあ助かるけど。
I feel a little let down and less motivated. It's a hollow feeling like my regular life has disappeared.
そうね、エミヤ君の意見には賛成する。私もあの影は見過ごせない。どこの魔術師だか知らないけど私の土地で好き放題やってくれてるんだから。
じゃあ休戦条約はまだ続けていいってことか？
当然でしょ。あの影を排除するまで余裕ないんじゃない？お互い。
The conversation wraps up smoothly. When lunch break started, I went to Tosaka's class A and brought her to the roof. Then I kicked things off by suggesting that we do something about the shadow. Tosaka turned out to be even more determined than I am.
それじゃあどうする？今夜から一緒に巡回するとか手分けして探すとかしてみるか？
そうね、 役割分担には賛成するわ。あなたは夜の巡回を続けて、魔術師として怪しいと思ったところ、セイバーが怪しいって感じたところを徹底的に調べること。で、エミヤ君がそうして表立って動いてくれてる間、私は造剣を追うから。
魔頭造剣。あいつあの影に関係あるのか？
He definitely seemed to know something about it.
さあ、造剣もあの影を怖がってたから望み薄だとは思うけど、どこか引っかかるのよ。まあ、あの影を抜きにしたって造剣は放っておけないでしょ。キャスターの死体を操ったり、魔術師でもない神事をけしかけてマスターにしたり、きな臭いったらありゃしない。
そうか、そうだな。言われてみれば、そもそもキャスターのことで手を組んだんだもんな、俺たち。あのじいさんだって。
ええ、あの影の相手は周りをきれいに片付けてからにしましょう。もし見つけても偵察に留めておいて。あれと戦うのはもっと足場を固めてからにしないとダメよ。
オッケー。けど遠坂はどうするんだ？造剣を追うってあいつの居場所わかるのか？
え？ああ、うん。居場所はわからないけど、直接魔頭邸に乗り込むわ。うちは魔頭家とは縁があるから、あなたより私の方が適任でしょ。
Tosaka lays out her plan in a lighthearted tone. The details are anything but light, though.
乗り込むって魔頭邸にか？お前、それ敵の本拠地に突っ込むってことだぞ。
そうだけど、何驚いてるのよ。別に戦いに行くわけでもないし、ただ相手の陣地を調べるだけじゃない。
バカ、造剣が待ち伏せしてたらどうするんだ？そんなの遠坂一人で行かせられない。俺も一緒に行くから早まった真似するな。
バカ、早まってるのはそっちの方よ。言ったでしょ、私は魔頭と縁があるの。魔頭の魔術は知っているし、造剣の力量だって昨日度で測れたわ。あの老魔術師は魔力のほとんどを体の維持に当てているから、直接的な攻撃手段がないのよ。そんなわけだから、造剣が直接対決してくれるならむしろ願ったりだし、神事だってもうマスターじゃないなら無害でしょ。古臭い魔術師同士の争いは私に任せて、エミヤ君は体で情報を稼いでちょうだい。
I can't argue with her when she puts it like that. Tosaka has Archer with her, so there's no point being overprotective.
分かった。魔頭造剣のことは遠坂に任せた。俺とセイバーはあの影を探してみる。
ええ、よろしくね。それとエミヤ君、聞くけどさくらはちゃんとあなたの家にいるのよね。
Why do you ask?
ああ、家に泊めてるけど、それがどうした？
ううん、なんでもない。それを聞いて安心しただけよ。魔頭邸に乗り込んだ時、何も知らないさくらがいたらやりづらいでしょ。
そうか。驚いたな。登坂、お前ってすごく気が利く。
何よ、その意外なものを見たって目は。あなたね、人のことどんな風に思ってたのよ。
いや、どんな風ってそりゃ。
A human hurricane who arrives at the crash and leaves with a bang, I guess.
エミヤ君が何を考えようと勝手だけど、とにかく魔頭の問題は私が解決するから、あなたは夜までおとなしくしてなさいよね。
了解。ここは遠坂に甘えてセイバーと鍛錬でもしてる。夜まで時間もあることだしな。
I stand up and head for the exit. Lunchtime's almost over, so I better get back to class.
じゃあな、遠坂。また明日ここで落ち合おう。
ええ、お互いの成果を交換し合うってことで。ああ、けどエミヤ君、
Tosaka's lips curl into a smile. When she smiles like that, it never means anything good. I make a beeline for the door, and a terrible feeling building in my stomach.
鍛錬っていうのはどうかと思うわよ。 時間がいっぱいあるなら他にすることあるんじゃない？例えば同じ屋根の下にいる女の子を構ってあげるとか。
Unfortunately, I was still within her attack range.
何言ってんだバカ。さくらはそんなんじゃなくて、俺はシンジがテンパってる間だけうちに泊めて様子を見ようって。
あら、私はセイバーを少しは休ませてあげなさいって言ったんだけど。意外ね。エミヤくん、女の子って言ったらさくらが一番に上がるんだ。
She smirks. My face is beet red.
なんてね。冗談よ。さっきのお返し気に入った？
You're evil, Rin.
お前な、こんなの気に入るやつがいたら神経どうかしてる。
My shoulders drop. I feel as slack as a marionette with its strings cut.
そっか。エミヤくんの弱点だもんね。冗談にしてはタチが悪かったか。
タチが悪いのは当初が本人だ。先に戻るからな。
はいはい、どうぞ先に行ってて。私はもうちょっと笑ってるから。
また明日な、遠坂。
I slam the door behind me and leave the roof. Damn it. She only came here to push my buttons. Did I like it? What does that even mean? In the first place, I don't remember doing anything to her to warrant this treatment. Once school ends, I quickly start to head home. Since all after-school club activities are suspended, students crowd around the campus gate. I take a cursory look around and don't see anyone who might be Tosaka. Knowing her, she must have gone straight to the Mato house.
先輩、誰か探しているんですか？
いや、単に学校を見てただけだよ。こんな風に生徒全員が下校するって珍しいだろ。
そうですね。けどそのおかげで今日は一緒に帰れます。帰りは商店街に寄っていきますか？
うん、晩飯のおかずを買って帰ろう。しばらく藤姉は来れないらしいから、俺とさくらとセイバーの3人分。
After we buy groceries, we take the long way home, passing by the park. The park is empty. There aren't any kids in the playground, nor a silver-haired girl in a coat.
公園、誰もいませんね。ここあんまり使われていないんですか？
最近はそうみたいだ。俺が子供の頃は日が落ちるまで誰かいたもんだけど、今は休みの日でもない限りこんなもんらしい。
そうですか。なんだか寂しいですね。
I nod in agreement and look up. The sky is tinged twilight. It's a dark red expanse with no birds in sight. It feels lonely, just like the small park.
戻るか。せっかくの休みだし、たまにはゆっくりしないとな。
We leave the park. Sakura agrees cheerfully and follows me with a spring in her step. Is this Rin investigating? Yep. And so Rin Tosaka arrives at her destination. The Mato residence. It's the atelier of an old mage lineage that immigrated to town 200 years ago. Her family welcomed them as collaborators and gave them land, and yet these fellows are outsiders whom they have never been friends with. The Tosakas and Matos practice mutual non-aggression, and have a pact that prevents them from easily involving themselves with each other. She really could not care less. That pact was broken 11 years ago, and the people who made that deal were the family heads from centuries ago. For 200 years they followed an agreement whose reasons and content are unclear. And for all that time, neither the Tosakas or Matos have obtained their goal, the Holy Grail. Originally, the pact was about getting the Holy Grail. That never happened, so she has no reason to follow that musty old rule. Rin passes through the front door without ringing the doorbell. She's never been here as a guest. She's only here as a master to eliminate her enemies in the Holy Grail War.
そ なんだけどさ。
Rin searches the manor, looking like she's chewing something bitter. She's here for the Holy Grail War, so there's no need for her to follow the Tosaka Mato Pact. That's what she tells herself, but she can't change who she is.
そっか。父さんの言いつけを破ったのってこれが初めてなんだ。
She murmurs absently. It isn't particularly remarkable. She might have gone against her father's teachings, but she hasn't broken anything important. Her only regret is...
バカね。どうせ破るのならもっと早くに押しかければよかったのに。
the guilt she's been bearing towards a certain someone for the last 10 years.
リン、屋敷の間取りだが空白部分が2つある。
え、どこよそれ。1階
2階からだ。階段にしては狭いがおそらく地下に通じている。
オッケー。ところでアーチャー気づいてる？
当然だ。だが害はあるまい。リンが無視する限りは私も気にかけん。我々の目的はあの妖怪だからな。
She nods at the voice next to her and heads for the hidden passage on the second floor. Rin can't see him, but the Red Knight is at her side. She brought him along in case of a fight, but her servant appears to be the meticulous sort. He sketched out a mental floor plan after walking around the house just once and pointed out rooms that seemed to be missing. Rin had a vague sense of it already, but Archer has the ability to grasp the design and structure of objects. It's a specialized ability one would never expect from a knight.
前から思ってたけど、あなたのそれってアーチャーとしてどうかと思う長所よね。
減らず口は後だ。そら、開いたぞ。暗いから気をつけ。
The conversation stops. The wall opens. Damp air wafts out from the passage leading underground. It's an unbearable, rotten odor that Archer can feel even without his material body. Rin walks down the wet stone steps. Her surroundings are greenish dark. The countless holes in the walls must be to entomb the dead. The bodies in the stone coffins decompose and erode, leaving empty holes for their next occupants. Not so different from above-ground burials, except for one thing. The way those bodies decompose. Here, it isn't the dirt that breaks the corpses down, but countless squirming insects.
ここがマト、マキリの修練所。
She murmurs, feeling dizzy. It isn't because of any feeling of repugnance, nor chill. Anger is what makes her tremble, regret, and vomit. This is a training room. This place is a training room. This rotten, wet room filled with nothing but death and countless insects is what the Matos give their successor. What does one even learn here? This chamber is only for breeding. For feeding, multiplying, and training insects. Then the Matos must also use insects to educate, discipline, and raise their successors. Just how different is their world from hers? She thinks of her stern, difficult education, and of the magic crest engraved in her arm. She isn't comparing the severity of their upbringing as successors. To begin with, no one else has borne struggles and overcome obstacles like she has. Rin Tosaka has, without a doubt, faced greater challenges and adversity. That's what it means to be recognized as an average one, a mage wielding all 5 great elements, and personally inducted into the Mages Association as a prodigy. If she was asked to command this nest of insects, she could come up with a more effective formula in half a year flat. Rin Tosaka could rewrite the magecraft that the Mato heir hasn't even mastered after a decade, in a mere 6 months. But this method of teaching is idiotic. She could only eat her words if you asked her whether she could put up with being a plaything for these bugs. The magical tradition that takes place here isn't education. It's torture. It's magecraft taught directly to the body, not the brain. They must be a tradition of the Makiris, and a preference of the old mage Zoken. Meaning that whoever is chosen to be the Mato heir undergoes endless torture.
リン、
分かってる。ここに造剣はいないわ。私が来たから逃げたのか、他に本拠地があるのか。どっちにしろこれといった手がかりもないし。
長居は無用ね。
She fights down the urge to scream and leaves the room behind. The girl's footsteps fade into the distance. Later, the insects swarm around the vomit she puked in disgust. Rin returns to the surface. Her busyness concluded, she heads outside when...
シンジ、そこにいるんでしょ。隠れても無駄よ。
She called out to the one person lurking in another hidden passage at the back of the room.
どうさかお前。
さっきまで無視して帰るつもりだったけど気が変わったわ。少し話をしましょう、マトウ君。
Glaring hatefully at Rin, Shinji obeys. He clearly showed himself because he's afraid of her. Not because of the threat she poses as a master with a servant. He's simply intimidated by the fierce air she's giving off.
ふざけんなよお前。僕は話なんてない。大体な、遠坂はマトウに口出ししない決まりだろ。何勝手にやってきてんだよお前は。
あら、私たち同じ学校の生徒でしょ。遊びに来てもおかしくないと思うけど。
笑わせるな。鍵を壊して入ってきて散々家を荒らしたくせに遊びに来たって。父親が死んでから礼儀も何もなくなったって聞いてたけど本当だな。頭悪いよね。いつから強盗の真似事を始めたんだい、遠坂の人間は。
そう見えた？ならそれも悪くないわね。盗むものなんてここにはないけど、強盗ってあれでしょ。盗みに入った時見つかったら暴れ回るから強盗っていうのよね。ええ、それなら本当に真似をしてもいい気分よ。
Fuck him up, Rin. It's obviously a joke, but she isn't smiling. Rin practically pins Shinji to the wall with her icy glare.
バカ、違うぞ。僕は関係ない。造剣とは関係ない。あのジジイが何をしてるかなんて僕は今まで知らなかったんだ。
どうだか。ならなんでマスターになんてなったのよ、あんたは。
それはだから。
He gulps. Shinji swallows whatever he was about to say, even as Rin urges him to continue. If it's about Zoken, he probably would have spilled his guts right away. Rin Tosaka is dangerous right now. There's no telling what she might do if he says one wrong word. This sucks. She might be so mad that she might actually try to kill him.
それは
それは
But he can't say it. He's as good as dead if he tells her how he became a master. Even if...
なら言ってあげる。単に魔術師の真似事をしたかっただけなのよ、あんたは。自分は落ちこぼれだから魔術師にはなれないから、聖杯の力で魔術師になりたかった。それ以外に目的なんてない。あんたは無力な自分を隠すために欲しくもない証を欲しがっただけの臆病者よ。
It might be completely inconsequential to anyone else.
どうさかお前。
違う？マトウの家に生まれながらあなたには魔術回路がなかった。けどそれはあなたのせいじゃないわ。もともとマトウの血は薄れていた。この土地に根を張った時から探求者としてのマトウの責務は薄れていたのよ。だっていうのにあなたはそれに固執した。特別であることが特別だなんて勘違いをしてしなくてもいいないものねだりをした。そんなことで魔術回路を得たところで魔術師にはなれないっていうのに、見苦しく自分に与えられるべきだった特権にすがったのよ。
知ったような口を叩くな。ふざけんなよ。僕が魔術師になれないだと。そんなことお前にどうしてわかるって言うんだ。
わかるわよ。断言してもいいけど聖杯を得たところであなたは魔術師にはなれない。だって才能がないもの。そのあたりがエミヤ君とは違うところ。
え？
Shinji's mouth falls open. He wasn't expecting that name to come up. It's well enough that Rin Tosaka is his enemy as the master. He saw that coming. but it's inconceivable that she would mention Shiro Emiya. He's just an amateur. Isn't he just an unworthy mongrel, not even from a family of mages? It was frustrating enough that he summoned Saber, but why is Rin Tosaka of all people saying his name?
なんだよ。やめろよな、遠坂。なんでなんだってお前がエミヤのことなんて口にするんだよ。
彼があなたより強いから。それに魔術師としての素質もある。的を真治にはないものをエミヤ四郎は持っている。ええ、あなたと同じようにエミヤ君にも魔術師としての才能はないわ。けど彼には魔術師としてやっていける絶対的な素質がある。それだけは他の誰にも負けない。彼が一番足りうるところよ。
一番だってあいつが笑わせるな遠坂。あいつにあって僕にないものなんてない。何もないのはあいつの方だ。あいつなんてただ運よくセーバーと契約できただけの野良犬じゃないか。
Shinji stares straight at Tosaka. His fear seems to have been replaced by his hatred of Shiro. Rin just shrugs and sighs.
そう。これだけ言ってもわからないようじゃ本当に処置なしね。少しは責任を取らせようと思ったけど、あなたにはその価値さえない。ここで見逃してあげるから、エミヤ君にやられる前に教会にでも逃げ込みなさい。
Rin turns away with an irritated huff. It declares that she's finished here. She no longer considers Shinji an enemy and leaves the Mato house behind.
僕がエミヤに劣るだって。
He repeats the words with nothing but loathing. But Shinji, his back to a wall, can't even see the departing Rin anymore. If he rushes her, she'll kill him for sure. Even Shinji knows the undeniable difference in their power.
遠坂お前
Bottomless resentment fills his scream.
もうしょうがないな。
Without turning around, Rin stops and bids farewell to the boy who was the successor to the Matos.
いいわ。最後に教えてあげる。自分以外のために先を目指すもの。自己よりも他者を顧みるもの。そして誰よりも自分を嫌いなもの。これが魔術師としての素質ってやつよ。どんなに才能があったところで、それがないものには到達できないところがある。私だってそんな条件を満たしているやつがいるなんて思ってもみなかった。こればっかりは生まれつき壊れてないと持てない矛盾だから。シンジ、あんたは他人を蔑むことで同時に抱かなくてもいい劣等感を抱いた典型よ。自分が好きなあまり周りを下に見たものの見下す相手が上にいるものだからつまらない劣等感にとらわれただけ。あなたの中身は空っぽよ。詰まっているように思えるのは本人だけで、正体は風船と一緒。周りの風向き次第で行き着く先なんてくるくる変わる。理解した？そんな男に魔術師なんて務まらないし、サーバントだって従わないわ。ここから先はあなたには関係のない世界よ。的藤真治がどんなに自分をマスターだと言い張っても、あなたは絶対にマスターにはなれないんだから。
Her footsteps trail off. Rin leaves Shinji alone in the dark house without sparing him another glance. Shinji slides down the wall. He collapses to the ground like a puppet with its strings cut, his face spasming in laughter.
なんだそうかそういうことか。
His dry tongue licks up the spittle running down his chin. A dry thud echoes in the room. The boy violently slams his head into the wall so hard he might break a bone.
要するにさ、あいつがいなくなればいいって言うんだろ遠坂。
A choked, hollow laugh fills the air. Bro doesn't get it at all.
じゃあ行くぞさくら。せーの、じゃんけん。
I thrust out my fist. Sakura meets it with an open palm. I played rock while she played paper.
私の勝ちですね。
I stare at my hand. I did it again. Why do I always play rock on the first round of rock, paper, scissors?
それじゃあ夕食の支度は私ということで、先輩はのんびりテレビでも見ててください。
Sakura practically skips to the kitchen. Does cooking dinner by herself make her happy?
仕方ないか。勝った方が飯を作る約束だもんな。
I take off my apron and sit down. I don't know how it is in other households, but around here, making dinner is apparently a recreational pastime. Not that I feel that way about it, but Sakura wanted to cook by herself. I appreciate the help, of course, but as her upperclassman, I shouldn't take advantage of her. Accordingly, on days like this when we both have free time, we come up with contests to decide who gets to make dinner.
やることないし、お茶飲もう。
I make myself a cup of tea and absent-mindedly sit down at the table. Saber's sleeping in my room, and Fujine isn't coming over because of overtime at work, or whatever. Sakura and I are the only ones here, and Sakura is cheerfully standing in the kitchen. I unconsciously find myself watching her. She works at a brisk pace, looking like she's enjoying herself. I'm used to seeing her long hair and the dark red ribbon. The way she picks up utensils, the way that she firmly takes up the kitchen knife, even if it seems heavy, and sets a cabbage on the cutting board. She cuts into it with vigor. Sakura always looks nervous when she first picks up a knife, but then her motions soon become familiar and efficient. I space out while watching her. The sun sets. When Sakura's here, life seems to go by slowly and peacefully. I suddenly realize how precious it is. Once night falls, it's off to war again. I'm only just now beginning to appreciate how important this time is to me.
桜を守らないと。
I don't know what Zoken's scheming, but I won't let him lay a hand on her. I've had so many chances to interact with Sakura lately, and keep getting distracted by how she's changed. Or should I say, developed, physically. If I'm being honest, I think I'm starting to fall for her. No, that isn't quite true. I think I must have started to feel this way a while ago. I hear her gently humming in the kitchen. It's really the little things like this that are important. As I daydream, I fill my third cup of tea and watch the twilight scene. Time seems to pass in a leisurely, tender way, as if I'm getting drunk off the tea. Slumber falls over the town. Even though it's just past 10 p.m., it feels like it's 3 in the morning. It must be because of the serial coma incidents. Night falls like a veil over town. The lights go out and there aren't any people outside.
あの影を探し出し調査する。アーチャーのマスターも無茶を言ってくれますね。
ああ。けど、やるしかないだろ。セイバーは反対か？
私の考えは朝に告げた通りです。それでシロ、何か手がかりはあるのですか？闇雲に街を巡回するのでは逆に的にされかねない。
Yeah, especially if we get ambushed by that shadow. Leads. I don't have any proof, but if I had to choose... Ryudo Temple is indeed a lead. That does seem to be where Assassin is. Or we can go to the park. Although I doubt Assassin's at the temple anymore, because he's probably with his master now. You know what? I'm gonna go to the temple.
もう一度竜道寺に行ってみよう。今にして思うと、あの時のキャスターはどこか変だった。
Yeah, that is true too.
あそこにはまだ
Something
何かある
definitely
はず。
happened to Kuzuki before we got there.
そうですね。あの山には不吉な気配が満ちています。この町で最も霊的な手が加えられているのはあの土地ですから。あの影とは別に一度調べてみる価値はあ
Come
る。
to think of it, we did also see... Well, they didn't, but we saw the shadow there too.
なら決まりだ。早速行こう。
So I think the Shadow is probably the one that killed Kojiro and birthed Assassin. We head from the yard to the front door. It'll take an hour to get to Ryoto Temple if we hurry. The sooner we leave, the better, but...
Saber?
Saber's looking at the guest house. Her gaze is focused on the room where Sakura is sleeping.
シロ、戦いに赴く前に話があります。その、朝の続きなのですが。
朝って、桜のことか？
はい。桜は自責の念が強すぎる。起きてしまったこと、犯してしまった間違いを、彼女は未来ではなく、現在で償おうとする嫌いがあります。
She's referring to their argument last night. Saber said that Sakura was correct and that she shouldn't dwell on the matter further. But Sakura insisted that she was wrong and kept apologizing to Saber, which only spurred Saber to apologize back to her. Sakura and Saber. Is Saber worried about how they interpret things differently?
それはどういう？
桜は自分を責めすぎるのです。過ちを正すことより悔いることを強要している。だから汚名を返上しようとするのではなく、汚名を刻みつけようとしてしまう。良くも悪くも彼女は自分を重くしている。
Saber looks pained. It's as if the words aren't directed at Sakura but at herself.
昨夜、私はそれを強く感じました。シロと共にいる時の彼女が特別で、普段はもっと別のものではないのかと。桜は、あなたといる時だけ自責の念から解放されている。
So that's why Saber's worried. She thinks that Sakura needs to have more pride in herself.
そうか。確かに、桜は内気すぎるからな。俺も気をつけてみる。
Come to think of it, it isn't good to make a girl her age constantly do house chores. Sakura says that she enjoys just being here, but she should have fun outside the house too.
ありがとう、セイバー。桜を心配してくれて。聖杯戦争に関係ない桜を気にかけてくれたのはすごく嬉しい。
いいえ、自責に駆られる彼女の気持ちは私にもあったものです。ですから他人事には思えなかったのでしょ
う。待てよセイバー、一緒に行こ
う。We head for the door together. In the night ruled by silence, we leave the house, taking care not to wake Sakura. We climb over the no trespassing fence and enter the temple yard. Since our encounter with Castor, Ryoto Temple is now treated as important evidence in the mass coma case and closed to the public. The air here still feels the same on my skin. It's uncomfortably lukewarm, with the smell of ripe fruit.
中に入るぞ、セイバ
ー。はい。シローも気をつけて。
分かってる。危険を察知したらすぐに教えてくれ。
We pass through the yard and ascend a corridor leading to the inner temple. The hallway is dark and the wooden floor creaks with our every step.
とりわけ変わったものはないか。セイバー、どうだ？
私も同じです。ですがこの一帯が異常なのは確かです。この山に踏み入った時から私たちは異なる常識に取り込まれている。これだけ魔力が満ちていながら異常を感じないことこそが異常と言えるでしょう。
そうだな。よし、もう少し調べてみよう。この寺、裏側に池があるんだ。あっちの方にもいくつか建物がある。
It's said that the pond was once home to a dragon. We might be able to find some clues there since it's long been considered a holy place. We exit the corridor and head for the back of the temple. Suddenly...
Shiro!
Oh, assassin! Something throws me from the corridor into the central shrine. I realize that Saber did, and I try to rush back to her side. But Saber slams the door in my face. I pound on the door. The door feels hard as iron. Maybe Saber used some kind of spell on it.
開けろセイバ
I pound and punch the door, but it doesn't budge. It doesn't even give against a full body tackle. On the other side of the iron-hard door,
そこで身を守っていてくださいシロ。この相手は確実にあなただけを狙ってくる。
ー敵ってなんだあの影か
違います。ですがマスターにとって天敵と言えるサーバントです。申し訳ありませんが、あなたが戦場にいては守りきれない。あのサーバント、アサシンには一騎打ちで臨まなければ先にマスターを叩かれてしまう。
アサシンだって
I didn't sense anything. No matter how strange the air in Ryudo Temple feels, a servant's aura is on a different level. When a servant materializes itself nearby, it gives off an unmistakably dense aura. Even if it's hiding its aura, there's no way Saber would fail to sense it.
一撃で決着をつけます。それまでそこを離れないでください。
I feel Saber moving away. Saber's footsteps are faint but firm. Maybe she's closing in on Assassin while fending off its attacks.
くそこうなったら
I look around me. I pick up a Kyosaku stick that's handy enough to be a weapon, and immediately start strengthening it. I need to use it as a sword and cut the door open. A bad hunch, an irritation I can't quite place starts to overtake my mind. If I leave her here, if I leave Saber alone on this mountain, there's no going back. I have to hurry up and... The lights go out. No, there were never any lights here to begin with. The moonlight that was illuminating the shrine is snuffed out. Something reeks. It's the odor of rotting meat and the grating buzz of insect wings. Yeah, Zoken.
または造形
I stare into the darkness.
飛んで火にいるとはまさにお主よなエミヤの小せがれ
He cackles. Somewhere out there, I feel the old mage's unmistakable fiendish aura.
セイバー
I take a stance with my improvised weapon. I'm not afraid of this centuries-old fiend. The absent Saber's well-being is the only thing on my mind. She dashes down the corridor, chasing the skull mask. The distance between them closes from 18 meters to a mere 5. Saber is close enough to cleave her enemy in two with a single step. But the enemy knows that too. If she closes in, he throws daggers to prevent her from finishing the fight, and if she doesn't close in, that gives him a chance to retreat. The skull doesn't sprint with gale-like speed the way Saber does, but retreats with bestial agility. He slips through the narrow corridors with ease, navigating tight turns without losing speed. Does he have eyes in the back of his head? Or is his back the mask he turns towards Saber when he faces her down? Assassin, the skull-masked servant, evades Saber's pursuit, keeping her neither too close nor too far, like a road mirage. Sparks fly. 3 daggers are hurled without any movement, telegraphing their flight, yet they fail to touch Saber. Saber has some resistance to projectile attacks, just as Lancer did. Compared to Lancer, who predicts their trajectories using air current sounds and his opponent's hostile intent, Saber predicts the attacks using air current sounds and her intuition. Invisible attacks are not particularly threatening to heroic spirits. They operate on a level beyond that, killing each other with decisive attacks that may be understood, but not prevented. To continue the example, Lancer's spear is worthy to be heroic spirit's noble phantasm. It is a weapon that pierces the heart without fail. Even if its identity is unknown, it cannot be blocked. The only way to defend against that demonic spear would be to erect a brute barrier with magical energy exceeding that of a spear. Right. We saw that with Roias. Or to possess luck so auspicious that it bends the destiny-fixing effect of the spear, when Saber dodged it, or to prevent Lancer from using the spear to begin with. Compared to that, Assassin's dirks are easily managed. They are lethal if they strike a vital point, but the fact that they can be simply blocked makes them little different than pebbles. Assassin has thrown more than 40 dirks. The robed killer finally stops, his ammunition exhausted. His pursuer skids to a halt as well. Her enemy, who had kept her at a distance, suddenly stopped. She can feel the sinister aura plainly emanating from Assassin. This is no time for a foolhardy charge.
観念したのか、アサシン。
Saber takes a slight step back, despite knowing that the best tactical choice would be to cut him down here. I must not advance any further. Her intuition, which kept her alive for so many years, broadcasts a warning with maximum urgency. Do not advance. Do not approach the gloom.
ああ、観念したともセイバー。こうなっては一撃で下されると覚悟したのだが、なぜ近寄らぬのかな。
He's still hiding his noble phantasm, Zabania. Saber does not answer, but she slightly raises the tip of her sword. It points at her enemy. 7 meters separate them now. It would take her 2 steps to reach them. It is a range that requires a swordsman like Saber to advance. Furthermore, she has a hidden weapon she can use only once, for which range is not even a consideration. Assassin's black cloak flutters. He does not know where the breeze stirring it is coming from.
私などに語る口は持たぬか。まあいい。語るは自由だ。思う通りに語らせてもらおうか。
The clarity of Assassin's voice belies his appearance. It resembles someone. The spearman she fought before, perhaps. Saber narrows her eyes.
しかし、よくもまあ弾いたものだ。私の探検、見せないつもりで撃っていたのだが、お前には
実像は見えてはいないが、奇跡ならば読み取れる。見えないものを恐れるようなら、このような剣は持たん。
The skull chuckles in agreement. What use is throwing black painted daggers at someone who wields an invisible sword? Assassin keeps laughing, appreciating the clear difference in the 2 heroic spirits' calibers and the gap in their noble phantasm's capabilities.
そうか。私など初めから敵ではなかったのだが、所詮朝シン。まっとうな英霊に太刀打ちできるはずもない。もとより我らは影に潜む者。そのような役割に選ばれる英霊など。故に、我らが役割は暗殺のみ。サーバントではなくマスターを殺すしか能のないなり損ないがアサシンなのだ。さて、となると私の標的はただ一人だけだ。理解できるかね、セイバー。私の行動は全て君の主を仕留めるためだけのものだと。
シロ。
さよう。お前の主は我が雇い主がもてなしている。私を引き離したところで急がねば虫どもの餌食だぞ。
Saber's sword flashes into brilliance. Or rather, she reveals the golden radiance that it always had.
風のまじないで刀身を隠していた。なるほど。その風圧ならばその場からでも私を立てる。わざわざ七に踏み込むこともないというわけだ。
The black cloak sinks down. It turns out that the prey he had lured out has a ranged weapon of its own. No stratagem or calculation can help him now. If Saber means to cut him from afar, then all Assassin can do is attempt to disrupt her up close.
立場が逆になったな、アサシン。この風王結界、見事踏み込んでみせるか。
ひどい女だ。イナゴの群れに飛び込めという。さりとこのままでは竜の方向が放たれる。これは身体極まった。
The skull mask reaches the ground. Crouching low, he resembles a crawling spider. The vacuum vortex of compressed air is about to be unleashed on Assassin. It would be insane to face it. Does he really expect to endure the lethal tempest by curling up on the ground?
さて、どう見てもこれで最後になろう。その前に語らせてもらおうか、セイバー。お前は1対1ならば私に勝つと言ったな。
Saber raises her sword. She won't let him stall for an escape with words. Her eyes are locked onto Assassin. Even if he attempts to even if he attempts spatial teleportation, she can finish him before he moves.
だからこそ私をマスターから引き離した。主を守るというその判断は正しい。
She's raised her sword as high as it will go. Now all she has to do is let it fall. Assassin sinks even lower to the floor.
だがそこにはお前自身を守るということが含まれていたのかな。
He asks a question. To that,
先を急ぐ。さらばのアサシン。
Saber answers with her sword. The duel is decided. Like a divine dragon, the vortex of air swallows the corridor and skull both, snaking through the temple in a violent tumult. There is no blocking or dodging it. As with Lancer's spear, the only way to stop Saber's invisible air is by overcoming it with sheer magical energy. Assassin's magical energy can't even compare to Saber's. The only way he could have stopped the attack is by stopping Saber from unleashing it. But it's too late to stop the released Tempest. The black cloak is sure to be cut into ribbons within a second of her sword stroke. A vortex of death descends on him. But in the midst of that vacuum wave, Assassin cries out an exultant laugh and charges. An attack aimed at her neck. As Saber instantly parries it, the black cloak slips over her head and drops behind her. With godlike speed, Saber spins to attack him. But Assassin is no longer there, having leapt out of range. At the same time, the ominous presence she's been feeling now covers the ground beneath her feet.
さて、二つほど運がなかったな、セイバー。
The shadow spreads. Its muddy corruption taints her silver armor.
一つは相性。陣よけのまじないは砂漠を行く者には必須でな。私が知る唯一の魔術が風よけの皆であり。
The corridor is plunged into darkness. Pale moonlight fails to illuminate the shadows. As her consciousness fades... Oh no. She sees it.
アサシン。貴様は。
そうだ、セイバー。もう一つは、この場所を戦いの場に選んだことだ。ここには良くないものが住むと、お前は気づいていたはずなのだがな。
She can't even hear Assassin's voice. In a few more seconds, she will disappear. The shadow consumes servants. Her body screams in revulsion, even as her thoughts fade. It doesn't matter if it's a futile gesture. She'll spend every last drop of magical energy if that's what it takes to break out of this bind. The shadow still only covers her feet. If she fights against it at maximum output, she can break free. Even if she loses most of her energy and the part of her taken by the shadow, at least she can escape. And yet...
そうはいかん。お前はここで消えるぞ、セイバー。
The shadow isn't her only foe. The skull had been watching this effort play out like a spectator, but he is still a Grim Reaper here to bring death.
初めから。
1対1ならば勝てると言ったな、セイバー。そう。それが間違いだ。お前は1人。こちらは2つ。私はただ、お前の注意を削ぐだけでよかった。
The shadow encroaches further. Her very existence begins to decay, starting with her feet. She's lost sensation from her toes to her thighs. Her legs becoming both part of this world and not part of it.
サーバントはそのあるやるに抗え。お前が真っ当な英霊ならばなおさらだ。比較的近い私でさえ、触れれば魔力を奪われる。純正であるお前では、触れられただけで正気を失おう。だが、それは惜しい。むざむざお前を消滅させては、私の目的は果たせない。 お前の心臓は私がもらう。
お前が私を。
おかしいか。探検は底をつき、私とて影には近づけぬ。その私がお前を仕留めるのは不可能だと。
Murderous intent emanates from the skull. Assassin's magical energy, which felt feeble so far, concentrates in his right arm. His right arm is a club. A misshapen thing without even a hand that does not function as an arm. All it can do is dumbly strike his opponent. It cannot even hold his daggers. Now it warps. Bones bend and break. The skull's arm explodes forward like an abominable wing. What a bizarre sight. What a long, massive arm. Where another arm would end in a fist, that is only his elbow. It bends into a grotesque forearm and hand that seems sewn together into his shoulder. Saber's thoughts freeze. It can reach her. That arm is long enough to reach her. Once it does, it is sure to gouge out her heart. Before she can even tremble, his arm flutters. The cursed arm is thrust at her like a spear. There is a sound of flesh being sliced and a gout of fresh blood. Red liquid splashes on the floor and speckles the black shadow. A shrill cackle escapes the skull mask. His outstretched arm is coated in crimson. Its deed done, it quickly retracts back towards Assassin. He has lost his monstrous arm. Oh, Saber cut it off.
貴様、死に損ないの分際で。
She lowers her sword. Assassin's cursed arm never reached Saber. Saber repelled the curse before it could extract a mirror image of her heart. Assassin's noble phantasm cannot defeat Saber, even in these dire straits. No. Having survived Lancer's causality reversing spear, she won't allow herself to die to such a vulgar curse. But that was the last resistance she can offer. All the power she built up to resist the shadow was spent in this final defense. She has no strength left to struggle with, and even if she did, it would be too late. The sinister aura she's felt this entire time is now emanating from her very self. The shadow devours her feet and reaches for her waist. Not even moonlight can escape its hunger, and now it has become her. It's too late to do anything. The shadow creeps upward. It clouds over the silver-clad swordsman's vision. She gasps as if craving oxygen and sinks into the murky swamp. Saber. Zoken Mato stands there, looking just as he did the night before. He looks completely intact, even after Archer cut him in two. The old mage, waiting only for death to claim him, laughs, as if the other night's events were all a dream. His methods are a mystery, but if he's truly recovered, then they must be in the realm of restoration, not just healing. You can't accomplish this by just healing a wound. It's grand magecraft which returns a lost body from nothing to its original form. So, does that mean he's immortal?
さて、そのような棒切れ一本で何をしようというのかな、小僧。
I face down Zoken with a strengthened Kiyosaku stick. I can't get any closer to him, nor can I run away to join Saber. If Zoken is immortal, then there's nothing I can do against him with a stick.
わしを仕留めるか、サーバントの後を追うか。どちらにせよ、足を動かさねば始まるまいて。
Insects squirm and chitter all around the old mage. No, not just around him. I can see the shadows moving, blocking out the moonlight. I know what they are, even if I can't see them. The darkness is a disgusting horde of insects. Darker than black, they fill all four corners of the shrine room, covering every wall. The room is completely overrun by the bugs teeming over the walls, and the rotten stench of meat. Or the stench of rotten
どう
meat.
した何をためらう先日わしの腹を立ってくれたのはお主たちであろう当坂の小娘と組んでわしを始末する腹ではなかったのか
The insect-wielding Zoken is clearly enjoying this. Obviously, I can't do a damn thing about the swarms of insects with a stick. Zoken only needs to give the order to drown me in a sea of bugs. No, maybe... if I run outside as fast as I can, I might be able to break out of this desperate situation. There's a lot of them, but they're just bugs. I doubt they can take out a whole human in a matter of seconds.
よいぞわしはいくらでも待とうセイバーの帰還を信じて待ち続けるかその武器でわしを仕留めるかそれとも我が虫どもを振り払い外に出るか好きな死に方を選ぶがよい
It sounds like he doesn't intend to let me get away. The longer we drag out this staring match, the more bugs gather. Then I'll... You know, honestly... Trust Saber? No. I can't make any careless moves. I'm worried about Saber. I want to run to her right now and make sure she's okay. But that would mean turning my back on Zoken. That would be a fatal mistake. Defend yourself, Shiro. That's what Saber told me. Then I need to hold out here until the last possible second.
はあ、なるほどなるほど。良い信頼関係を持ったものじゃ。
I won't let Zoken's words sway me. I get a good grip on the Kiyosaku stick and tense up, ready to respond to any attack.
よかろう。では根比べじゃ。お主の判断が正しかったかどうか答えを待つがよい。
Zoken's murderous intent vanishes. The old mage takes a step back, melting into the wall of insects. His presence fades. I stare into the shadows where he should be. A full minute passes. I hear wind howl from afar, and then my left hand throbs with pain. The back of my hand is tingling. It hurts where the command spells are, almost like I'm bleeding there.
Saber.
I feel awful dread. I feel awful dread. I feel awful dread. The pain in my left hand. The howling wind gone silent. I hear the old mage chuckle from within the mass of hostile bugs.
どうやら片付いたようじゃな。お主もマスターならばわかろう。オノガサーバントがこの世から消滅した事実がな。
My mind is paralyzed. My vision freezes. What is he talking about?
何をほけておる。セーバーは死んだ。格下と侮ったアサシンに敗れた。そんなこともわからんのか、小僧。
Bullshit, right? My left hand hurts. It really hurts. But my command spells are still there. They're growing fainter by the second, like they're about to fade, but they aren't gone yet. Then Saber still has to be out there, ready to come to me right now.
Saber! Kai!
I scream, trying to drown out the pain. I cram as much magical energy as I can into my left hand. I don't know how to use the command spells. But if they're supposed to respond to their master's wishes, then I'll summon Saber to me right now. Nothing happens. The command spells definitely reacted, and then they stopped. There's nothing wrong with the command spells. Then that must mean the servant they called is already...
無駄なこと。レイジュといえど、失われたサーバントを蘇らせることはできぬ。さて、巡りの悪いお主でも理解できたろう。セーバーはとうに我がサーバントによって死に絶えたわ。
猫田。
ではしまいにするか。 当坂の小娘はまだ使い道があるがな。お前はこれで用済みよ、小僧。セーバーともども我が聖地で死に絶えるがよい。
言ってんじゃねえぞてめえ。
I run. I charge at the enemy before me, trying to shake off the pain in my left hand and the horrible dread. I step towards Zoken and swing the Kiyosaku stick with all my strength. I aim a vertical slash from skull to groin. But something repels it, immediately sending me flying backward. My back slams into a wall. I can't breathe, like someone punched the wind out of me. My back feels numb where it hit the wall, like when you get too close to a fire. I hear bugs near my ear. The bugs coating the wall moved so they wouldn't be crushed when I hit it. Even their chittering seems to taunt me.
間に合ったか、アサシン。では小僧の始末もお主に任せよう。セーバーに比べれば楽な作業。ゆるりと楽しむがいい。
Zoken disappears. In the darkness where he lurked, a white skull snickers at me. So that's the assassin servant. He's a black-robed killer with a white mask that suits Zoken well. He's going to kill me. My left hand hurts. I can barely think. Oop. My heartbeat reaches a fever pitch, realizing these are my last moments. Assassin hurls lethal weapons at my groin, throat, heart, and stomach. I have no way to stop them. Silver light repels the incoming attack. A blade bats aside all 4 daggers that are about to kill me. Only one person could have done that. My left hand still hurts. My command spells aren't gone yet. That means...
バカめ、しくじりおったのか。
I look up. Someone appears as if to protect me from the white masked servant, but it's... Ryder?
え？
Another servant in dark clothes, like assassin.
ライト。
There's no doubt about it. That's Shinji's servant, Ryder. Why is she here to help me?
おのれ、わしに逆らうか。えい、構わぬアサシン。邪魔をするのなら、そやつもしますせい。
The skull answers Zoken's shout. Her long hair traces through the air. Ryder wordlessly turns towards Assassin, facing the rain of daggers he unleashes. I can't follow the daggers with my eyes. The skull mask bounds and scrambles around the cramped shrine room. As soon as I spot him on the walls, he's on the ceiling, then the floor, throwing one dagger after another. They come from every direction without end, giving their target no chance to block or evade them all. In the blink of an eye, the volley of daggers lines the floor like a sharp forest. Ryder can't deal with that. I've seen her move when she fought Saber. Assassin's assault was probably fierce enough to keep Saber at bay. But she beat Ryder in a single blow, so Ryder has no chance. The white skull hurls a merciless barrage of darts. But then I notice something like frustration behind his attacks. By the time I realize what's wrong, the difference in power is already clear. They aren't hitting her. Not a single one of the dozens of daggers from the shadows even scratches Ryder. The voice comes from the ceiling. Assassin glares hatefully at his foe. Maybe he ran out of daggers. There. Is a gigantic snake. I don't believe it. That many daggers. Ryder evaded them all with pure speed. It's not like when she saved me moments earlier. She simply raced around on the ground as if to declare that she didn't even need to block the daggers to defend herself.
何を遊んでおるアサシン。我が孫のサーバントといえど容赦はいらん。早々に片付けんか。
それはできない。こやつ、以前とは違う。
She's different. Assassin eyes Ryder dubiously from the ceiling. Ryder is different from the servant I witnessed before. The magical energy in her body and the sheer physical prowess are on a totally different level. She might not be as strong as Saber, but she's clearly superior to Assassin.
貴様なぜ
Ryder doesn't answer. She just crouches low. Just as I realize it's the posture of a predator about to pounce on its prey. Ryder flies up at the ceiling while Assassin leaps at the ground and they cross blades. Both fighters clash their daggers and land, facing away from each other. Ryder is unharmed. Meanwhile, Assassin's shoulder is skewered by one of her daggers. Assassin attempts to pull out the dagger in his shoulder. Before he can, a metallic sound of chains rings out, and Ryder uses her chains to bodily swing Assassin around. The skull shrieks in pain. Ryder just keeps spinning him around mercilessly, like she's swinging a ball and chain. Assassin flails through the room helplessly, crashing through walls, his arms and legs bending at the wrong angles with each impact. I duck to avoid the whirling man tornado. Can't be described as merely powerful or violent. After spinning him around as she pleases, she lets the centrifugal force carry him and lets go. It's like throwing a sledgehammer. Assassin, his bones shattered, is thrown through the last wall head first. And goes flying. The skull-masked servant is tossed out into the temple yard like a piece of trash, bounces off the ground a few times, splattering blood everywhere, and finally rolls to a stop at the mountain gate. That was brutal. I know by now that servants don't die that easily, but he probably can't fight anymore.
愚か者が
Zokin's presence fades. Sensing the tables turning, the old mage departs with a harsh word for Ryder. And the bugs that were cowering in the corners of the room leave with their master. The pain where Assassin punched me in the stomach brings me back to my senses. Ryder and I are the only ones left in the shrine room. I take a deep breath to calm myself down. After a moment, I realize that only my stomach and back are hurting. I know what that means now, even without thinking about it. I push through my dizziness and head for the corridor.
待ちなさい。一人で行動するのは危険です。
Ryder doesn't seem to mean me any harm. She was really here to save me.
お前どうして
Save me, I almost finish. But I almost don't care at this point. Right now, I want to.
お前はシンジのサーバントだろう。なのにどうして俺を助けてくれたんだ
I want to go to her. Why am I taking this detour?
あなたを死なせてはいけないと命じられています。私は主の命に従っただけです。
I see. Whatever. I don't believe it. But if that's her answer, then fine. Never mind that. I need to hurry. I know with one glance what I'm going to find. The corridor is silent. It's half destroyed, torn apart as if a tornado went through. On the only intact portion of the floor, I find a red stain. It's smaller than the palm of my hand, and I don't know who the blood belongs to. But as soon as I see it, I feel my legs go weak and drop to my knees. I touch the red stain. The blood is dry, and it doesn't stick to my fingers. It seems to declare that she's well and truly gone.
私の役割はあなたを守ることです、シロ。
How many times have I heard those words? They were promising yet anxious. She always put me first. Never once did she talk about protecting herself. I scratched at the bloodstain. Saber fought and died here. That's what war is. I've known from the moment we made our pact that people would die in this battle. I offered her my hand with that in mind, and she took it. She was a girl smaller than me who protected me. When I decided to go after the Black Shadow instead of the Holy Grail, she swallowed her dread and went along with my decision. And this is the result. I lost her. I'm no longer a master, and I'm back to being the half-baked hero I was before. I'm all alone, with no way to fight. But I still have something to do. I touch the bloodstain one last time. This is farewell. I lift my hand away without a bow or a word of thanks. The pain in my left hand is gone. The moment I acknowledged Saber's death and said goodbye, my command spells disappeared without a trace. Command spells won't disappear just because a servant is gone. They go away when a mage is no longer qualified to be a master. I have no idea what happened here tonight. All I know for certain is one thing. In this moment, I lost Saber and the right to be a master. I leave Ryudo Temple. My stomach and back feel like big injuries, but right now I don't care about physical discomfort.
送ります。敵がいなくなったとはいえ、夜道の一人歩きは危険ですから。
I stop, surprised. The way Ryder is acting is just too unexpected.
わからないな。それもお前のマスターの命令か。
いえ、そのような命令は受けてはいません。これは私個人の感情です。
そっか。それなら信じるけど、見送りはいい。俺たちは敵同士だろう。なら、そこまで世話にはなれない。
敵同士。では、あなたはまだ私たちと戦うつもりですか？セイバーを失った魔術師でもないあなたが。
I don't answer. I still haven't said anything about fighting or forfeiting the war.
そう。わかりました。せいぜい道中気をつけなさい。
Ryder's long hair flutters. She heads for the mountain gate ahead of me. Even to me, she looks hopelessly defenseless from behind.
Thank you.
I blurt out something I forgot to say.
Eh?
She turns around, surprise plain on her face. It's embarrassing to have her look at me like that, but I have to express my gratitude.
あなたは今、何と言いました？
Because she'll hear me after all. I feel uncomfortable staring her in the eye, so I slightly avert my gaze.
だから、ありがとうって言ったんだ。お前に助けてもらわなかったら、死んでただろう。見ての通り、今は何も返せない。だから、せめて礼ぐらい言っとかないと、お前に悪い。
お気になさらず。私は主の命に従ったまでです。主の命が変われば、すぐにでもあなたを殺します。
Ryder answers in a cold voice and disappears through the gate.
だろうな。だから世話にはならないって言ったんだ。
I walk out of the temple alone. I can think about why she came to save me later. It'll take an hour to get home. I only have 1 hour to get over the fact that she should be here with me. I arrive at my house. It's well past 1 a.m. Why are the lights on? A brief coughing fit makes me cover my mouth, and I notice a little blood on my hand. It still hurts where Assassin punched me, and my back stings where it hit the wall. I don't know what the internal damage is like, but my back is probably bruised. Before, I would heal from light injuries right away, but now they don't heal at all.
そうか。以前に戻ったんだよな。そりゃ。
I pact with Saber let me heal from all my injuries on my own. That's gone now. Even a small wound could prove fatal.
先輩
Someone calls me. Sakura is standing in the hallway just past the front door.
さくら、どうしたんだこんな夜更けに。もしかして起こしちゃったか。
いえ、寝つけなくて夜更かししていたんです。そしたら先輩の靴がなかったからどこかに出かけたのかなって。
まあ、ちょっと出歩いてた。
Oh, right. The lights were on when I got back. Has she been here the whole time?
さくら、ずっと玄関で待ってたのか。
いえ、そんなことないです。ちょっとおトイレに寄っただけで、たまたま玄関にいただけですよ。
She was definitely waiting for me. It's been just under 3 hours since Saber and I set out. Maybe Sakura noticed me leaving right away and waited here the entire time.
それより先輩、お茶にしませんか？こんな時間ですけど、あったかいお茶を飲んでゆっくりすれば元気が出ますから。
My eyes widen. Suddenly, Sakura is uncharacteristically forceful. I must be in pretty bad shape if she's this worried about me.
頼む。それと、ただいま。さくらに声をかけずに出歩いてすまなかった。
I take off my shoes and go inside. I keep a hand on my hurting stomach and head for the living room. Sakura steps in front of me.
はい、お帰りなさい、先輩。
She replies, sounding somehow relieved. I jump up from the seat cushion my butt is on. The antiseptic drenching my back burns something fierce. It even makes a sizzling sound, making me feel like I'm being roasted over coals.
さくら、痛い。消毒薬はもういいから、傷口を拭いてガーゼでも貼っといてくれ。
ダメです。背中一面真っ赤なんですから、ちゃんと消毒しないといけません。それに、痛いのは当たり前です。こんな大怪我をして帰ってきたんですから、少しは我慢してください。
Ugh, I wonder if she's this tough on injured people thanks to the Kyoto Club. Or Fujinai.
先輩、他に痛むところはありますか？
いや、怪我したのは腹と背中だけだ。他は何ともない。
そうですか。なら、あとはガーゼを当ててテーピングするだけですね。
Sakura wields the first aid kit with practiced efficiency. Her face is stern as she works, and I don't feel like I can interrupt her. Now then. If you're wondering how this happened, it's because I accidentally threw up the tea as soon as it hit my stomach. I planned on hiding it, but Sakura found out. Then she pouted until I confessed that I got injured, and now she's treating my wounds. Of course, she wasn't this aggressive as soon as I got home.
怪我ってお腹ですか？
When I showed Sakura my abdomen, she blushed so furiously she couldn't even begin to render first aid.
さくら、本当にいいのか？手当てなら自分でできるし、無理しなくていいぞ。それに背中はもっとひどい。
大丈夫です。やります。やらせてください。
She became so flustered that I was worried she would swoon before she could even treat my back.
先輩、そのお洋服脱いでください。
I didn't want to stop Sakura when she's trying so hard, and I couldn't have treated my back on my own. So with all that in mind, I took off my shirt and let her work on my back. My back is scratched all over, and for a while, Sakura didn't do anything. After staring at each other for a few minutes, she gulped and announced that she'd start giving me first aid. That was 20 minutes ago. It's now past 2 in the morning. Sakura's diligent care is almost finished.
終わりました。新しいシャツを用意しましたから、こっちを着てください。
あ、もう終わったのか。サンキュー、さくら。
いえ、先輩もお疲れ様でした。
I put on a fresh shirt and take a deep breath. I can't do much about the bruise on my stomach, but my back pain feels a little better. I'll sleep on my stomach tonight. Hopefully it won't hurt as much tomorrow.
さて、それじゃ寝るか。こんな夜更けに起こしてすまなかったな。
いえ、そんなことはないんですけど。
Sakura looks down. She looks like she wants to say something, but can't.
さくら、俺がいない間に何かあったのか。
先輩、セイバーさんは帰られたんですか？
I go dizzy for a second.
セイバーさんは帰られたんですか？
Hearing it out loud from someone else finally drives the hammer home.
ああ、急な話だけど、あいつは帰った。もう戻ってこない。
I push through the dizziness, steady my breathing, and answer calmly. Sakura has doubts, I'm sure. Saber was just here 4 hours ago, so she must think something happened. So I need to be calmer than anyone else and act like everything's fine.
セイバー、最後にさくらのことを言ってたよ。さくらは思い詰めるタイプだから、もっと気楽に行けってさ。
そうですか。セイバーさんとは仲直りしたばかりだったのに、お別れを言えなかったのは残念です。
I can't even nod. Saber disappeared before she could say farewell to anyone. It pains my heart so much I want to throw up. For only 6 days we worked together. For only 6 days we were partners. For only 6 days, she swore to be my sword, and how did I repay her?
でもよかった。あの人が来てから、先輩、怪我してばかりだったから。これで今まで通りですね、先輩。そうですよね。何をしていたかは聞きませんけど、先輩はセイバーさんのために出歩いていたんでしょ。けどそのセイバーさんも帰ってしまったんですから、先輩が危ない目に遭うこともないじゃないですか。
いや、セイバーがいなくなっても夜に出歩くのは続けるけどな。セイバーに付き合ってたんじゃなくて、俺がセイバーを付き合わせてたんだから。
I stand up. I feel less tense now that the first aid is finished. I suddenly feel sleepy.
先輩。
おやすみ、さくら。それと今の話な。明日からもっと家を留守にするだろうけど、さくらは今まで通りここを使ってくれ。今夜みたいに帰りが遅くなる時もあるけど、気にせずちゃんと眠ること。さっきみたいにずっと玄関で待ってるってのはなしだぞ。
はい。おやすみなさい、先輩。
I can rest my body now. I didn't notice before, but I'm seriously exhausted. Just lying down on my stomach is enough to make my body and mind sleepy. Before I pass out, I stare into the dark, hardening my resolve. What defeated Saber? What am I supposed to fight? I need to get that through my head right now. The memory makes my chest creak. I tremble slightly, feeling a frustration that goes beyond anger or fear. I feel like my heart's going to break. That shadow. That thing out there indiscriminately attacking people. The black shape that even Saber and Archer were afraid of. I didn't see it happen, but I'm pretty sure of it. Saber lost to that thing. Assassin couldn't have beaten her. If anything back there could have defeated her, it had to have been that shadow. I'll defeat the thing that beat Saber. It isn't my only enemy. I need to deal with Zoken, an assassin, too. Zoken said that he had no more use for me, that I'm no longer a master. But as long as I fight in the Holy Grail War and pursue the Shadow, Zoken is sure to appear. My body trembles. Saber isn't here anymore. Without her miraculous healing, I only have my half-baked magecraft to protect me. I know how foolish and suicidal that is.
でも戦うと決めた。正義の味方になるって言ったんだ。
I lost Saber to do that. It's why I've been following in Kiritsugu's footsteps ever since the fire. The only choice I have is to stop this war, so that the tragedy can never happen again. And that's why this is the last night I'm allowed to tremble like this. In the morning, once my injuries have healed, I have to become a stronger version of myself that she would be proud of. The girl returns to her bedroom. She goes to her bed with heavy steps and sits down limply.
先輩、あんな怪我をしたのに、まだ。
She doesn't know what happened. She just knows that the boy left and came back a few hours later looking haggard and covered in wounds. The blonde girl who suddenly appeared in this house a few days ago didn't return with him. From this alone, it's clear that something irrevocable has happened. The boy is hiding something, and as a result, the blonde girl didn't come back. But that doesn't matter. She doesn't care about that at all. As long as the boy is back safe, then she doesn't need to know what happened. Nothing could make her happier than Shiro Emiya coming home to her.
あれ、今日冷えるのかな。
She feels a chill and touches her cheek. It's hot. Her whole body feels hot, and she feels like she might faint if she doesn't concentrate. It must be a cold again. That's unusual, since she doesn't usually catch colds, but she was waiting at the door for almost 3 hours. Sluggishly, she turns off the lights. Too tired to even change out of her clothes, she collapses into bed.
大丈夫。こんなの先輩に比べたら全然だし。
Lying face down, the girl thinks back to the scene a few minutes ago. His back looked like someone worked it over with a cheese grater. His stomach was bruised black as if it was struck by a heavy, blunt weapon. He had to have been wounded in both body and spirit, yet his gaze was as clear as day. The moment she remembers, she feels her body temperature rise. She pretends not to notice that it's hatred she feels, not excitement.
誰があんな。
Yes. She can't forgive whoever hurt him this badly. This goes beyond momentary feelings like hatred or disapproval. He's always been deeply hurt, and yet he's always stayed here with her, so pristine. He's someone so different from her, yet so precious, so she can't abide the fact that someone hurt him.
けど先輩の背中すごかったな。
She absently reaches out with her hand. It's been a long time since she saw his bare skin up close. When they first met, he was small for a boy and not much taller than her. But for the last 2 years, he's rapidly become a man. It wasn't like before when he collapsed from a cold. That was only a common cold. Tonight, he was a wounded man.
先輩。
Her mind goes blank as she remembers. When he exposed his chest, she was surprised by how masculine he was. Covered muscles, trained every day without rest, and not a gram of excess. If she had to compare his lithe body to that of an animal, he would be a wild goat. Small and beautiful, yet with the hidden strength to scale sheer cliffs.
胸だって広かったし、すごく男の人だった。
Her outstretched fingers trace the lines of a chest that isn't there. Unconsciously, they run up his body lines like water drops. From his chest to his neck. Her fingers glide across the sheets from his neck to his lips. Her face goes bright red. In a panic, she tucks her arms in. The girl rolls into a ball on her bed, her ears turning just as red as her face. It shouldn't be this embarrassing, but the memory of his touch is just too fresh. The sensation of his skin on her fingertips just makes her imagination that much more vivid. She clenches her hands tightly. She brings her face and hands in, trying to ball up the warmth heating her body. She can't think of anything else. She clutches her hands to her chest, clutching close the residual sensation in the fingertips. She endures the heat boiling up through her body. She won't be able to hold on if she lets it out. If that happens, she won't even be able to think of this one thing she's clinging to. She's hounded by confusion and guilt towards the boy. His injured body. Just the thought of the bloody marks on his back makes her dizzy. The girl who will never come home again. What she took from him. All the lies. Dark emotions she would normally never entrain twist inside her, awakening a feeling of deep delight within. She calls out to him and tries and bury the feelings. How long can she keep them down? She hugs her chest so tightly it contorts. Thoughts bubble up within her bosom. The only thing making her this happy, this relieved, is that the boy came home to her. It isn't enough. She knows that now. He takes such good care of me, but he's trying to protect me by pushing me away. She says her thoughts aloud. She knows how greedy she sounds, but because it's a desire that shouldn't be voiced, a wish that can't come true. She moans her repentance. How vile she is for delighting in his injuries. How decadent she is for wanting to waste his efforts to protect her. It feels like a betrayal for someone like her to want to be with him. So she apologizes. The repentance and contrition quench her fever. She curls up in bed, damp with sweat. Her guilty conscience awakened a fever that is somehow like arousal. Even though the fever is cooled, she feels troubled by a heavy agony. His wounded body. He's still going to fight, even after going through that. She frets, covered in sweat. It's a worry she doesn't have an answer for, and a problem she can't solve. She could think all night and still not come up with a way to stop the boy. Except... That's dangerous thinking, Sakura. With a relieved sigh, she arrives at an utterly simple answer. The girl breaks into a smile of someone who just had a divine revelation, feeling deep relief. Ah. She's going yonder, eh? She murmurs as if addressing someone. Ooh. Well, hey, good luck with that, Shiro. Fuck. Oh, right into another interlude. Man, this one just keeps going, huh? All right. Hey, I'm always down to see more. Oh, this is Kotomine. The room smells of stone. It's lit by natural, not man-made light. What the fuck is my cat doing out there? He's like slamming against the door. The flickering lamplight illuminates the man's back and highlights the parchment in his hand.
教会とやらへの報告書か。お前も忙しい男だな、ことみね。
The voice comes from behind, its source unclear. It addresses a man sitting in a chair who begins his second task without showing a hint of surprise.
ほう。例の簒奪者についてだな。
Usurpers.
どれ？被害者はすでに57人。うち死亡者は5名ときたか。監督役として、これは多い方なのか、ことみ。
Oh, the Tim and Gil. I was wondering who the hell this was.
この段階では何とも言えん。これほど大規模な意識不明事件は初めてだが、それでとどまるのなら問題はない。どちらの教会もこの程度の後処理は承知の上だ。
I think they're both well aware that it's not going to stop here, though.
だが
それも今のままのペースならか。どこの誰だか知らんが派手にやってくれる。気づいているのか、ことみね。このまま放っておけばこの町は無人になるぞ。
Kotomine doesn't answer. He's well aware of what the young man behind him is saying. The enigmatic shadow that appeared in town. So far, it's only drained life energy, but the quantity increases by the day. The number of bizarrely drained victims that began to appear 2 days ago has exceeded expectations in only a matter of days. So far, it leaves the victims only in respiratory distress, but soon not even a healthy adult male will be able to survive a night.
だがその心配は無用だ。素人ではあるまいし、再現を知らぬというわけでもあるまい。
そうかな。あの虫使いはそうでもなさそうだが、あの手の輩は早めに潰さねばたたるぞ。俺とておめおめと町の人間を殺されるのは性に合わぬ。
My brother in Christ, were you not trying to use the Grail to cull humanity? That statement comes as a surprise to Kotomine. Yo, me too, man! This man has no need for anyone other than himself, so why does he care about the people of Fuyuki?
驚いたな。どういう風の吹き回しだ、ギルガメッシュ。
What the fuck?
驚くことはあるまい。俺は
Okay, there it is.
俺以外の者が人を殺めることを
Okay, that is more in line with his character.
人が人を
Okay.
つまらぬ財閥で迷おう。その手の苦しみは楽しくもないからな。
He only tolerates killing if he is the one to do it. Got it.
なるほど。お前はお前で、やはり英霊だな。生の苦より救うために死を使う。ならば、お前の望みはやはり死か。
当然だ。ここは無意味で無価値なものばかりだからな。一掃するのが正義というものだろう。
His scornful voice brims with absolute confidence and majesty. The priest continues working without pause as he listens.
なるほど。そう望むのなら、聖杯はお前が使うがいい。お前を打倒する者が現れない限り、聖杯はお前のものだ。
ことみね、お前には望みがないのか。
明確な願いなどない。私にあるものは明確な快楽を欲する己のみ
だ。そうか、お前には快楽のみか。
The young man laughs at the straightforward answer. A deep chuckle erupts from him, like he's proud of his partner.
よいぞ。俺はおぞましいから殺し、お前は楽しいから殺す。理由は違えど、聖杯に求めるものは同じ。なればこそ、俺をここまでつなぎ止めたというわけだな。
The priest doesn't answer. He merely fulfills his duty dispassionately.
お前が動かぬのならばそれでもよい。せいぜい好きにさせてもらうぞ。
The young man's presence disappears. The stone room returns to silence, and the priest glances at the entrance.
酔っているように見えてシンは正気のままか。あの泥もあれの魂までは汚染できなかったと見える。
Gilgamesh, the king of heroes. The golden servant is the most powerful being in play right now. This is acknowledged by all, and Kotomine, the game master, does not doubt it. But
無価値なものはあるが、無意味なものなどない。注意するのだな、英雄を。お前に敗北を与えるものがあるとすれば、それはその一点のみだ。
no one hears his muttering. Lit by the red glow, the priest resembles an oracle gazing into the future. Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, we're gonna get another one? Alright, oh man. Oh, this fucking sucks. No saber, no command spells. What the fuck are we gonna do now? Oh boy. Alright, well, I guess we'll figure that out in the next one. So, I'll see you all then. Bye!